Last night, we had an important question from one of the virtual disciples regarding a problem, a widespread dilemma, which may be taboo to many people, but the questioner had enough courage to ask. And he said, Mufti, please give me advice or tell me the ruling and the cure for masturbation. Someone who is a chronic masturbator, who is addicted to this act, is it permissible? Will I go to hell if I do it? And what is the way out? How to stop, how to cure and remedy myself from this? Last night, as we promised to finish the answer tonight, we said, first point summarized, we said what? We don't advise any Muslim to do this. We don't advise any Muslim to do this. We advise the Muslim to do what? Stay away from that act. Number two, we said that any sin that a person makes, any act of disobedience that a person makes, and he dies upon an act of disobedience without making tawbah, then their affair is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If Allah wills, He will punish them according to their sins. And if they died upon Islam, they will not be in the hellfire forever. And if Allah wills, they won't be punished for their sins. He can have forgiveness and pardon them and have mercy upon them. And overlook his faults as it was done in the dunya. Or someone could intercede for them. And the list goes on of reasons behind sins being what? Wiped away with. So therefore, we don't know who's going to hell, who's going to heaven, except for those specifically mentioned in the Quran or in the Sunnah, such as Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, or Abu Lahab, for example, Fir'aun, Bilal radiallahu anhu is in Jannah, this woman in Jannah, Fulan in Jannah. Everybody understand this? As far as who's going to Jannah or Jahannam specifically, we do not know, nor is it from our way of belief I don't know where I'm going. May Allah put me in Jannah. May Allah put you in paradise. May Allah give the wrongdoers what they deserve. Wahakadha. But we don't specify who's going to heaven and who's going to hell, because we don't know ourselves. And we may die upon something other than that. That's why we always continue to do what? Strive. And to humble yourself. And never ever look at something as if you're doing Allah a favor, as many of us do. You're not doing Allah a favor by fasting. You're not doing Allah a favor by building a masjid. Don't think you're doing something, you put the name on the masjid. No, Allah is doing you a favor. And that favor could be taken away from you at any time. That favor, that gift could be stripped from you at any time. And also the concept of sins. When you make sins, it may lead you to having doubt, to losing yaqeen, having doubts about Islam, and reverting or going back to what? Kufr, leaving Islam. Khayran inshallah. So we don't know who's going to heaven and hell. As far as the ruling of masturbation, then we said last night, some of the ulama, many of them, they say it's haram. And it's unlawful based off of verses in the Quran and a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. The verse in which Allah says, those who protect their chastity, except for that which they have of wives or right-hand possessions. And they say masturbation is not wife or right-hand possession. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. They are those who make udwan. They transgress the boundaries. Allah did not allow you to fulfill your desires, your sexual pleasures in any way except for one or two. Also, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in which he advised the youth to get married. He says, O young men, O young women, whoever can marry should do so. And we explained this hadith last night and the danger of not implementing this hadith. And the fantasy world that many Muslim parents live in. A total fantasy world. And it's so sad that they live in a fantasy world from deen and dunya. As far as the deen, for obvious reasons. As far as the dunya, how you grew up, Dhafir, how you were raised in the 60s or the 70s is not like what? 2016. And many parents, they still think it's the same lifestyle. It's the same life. It's a whole different world from the 70s or the 80s, however, whenever you grew up. So you cannot allow your children or to have your children live in your exact life as you grew up in your country. That's a fantasy. And know for sure that the dunya has no losses. The dunya is what? Undefeated. You cannot stand up to the dunya. Throw yourself into the lion's mouth and win when it comes to the dunya. Everybody understand this? If you expose yourself to these fitan without the protection of Allah, without the steadfastness of the deen, know for sure the deen is going to what? It's going to win. And not only is it going to win, but it's going to swallow you whole. Everybody understand this? Boyfriend, girlfriend, smoking, drinking, music, partying, college, these things. You are going to be what? Eaten alive. And if you don't believe that about your 19-year-old son or your 18-year-old daughter, then you live in what ways? A fantasy world. And from the things that prevent young Muslims from fitna is what? Marriage. So the Prophet ﷺ says, who can marry should get married. Why? فَإِنْهُ أَغَضُّ لِلْبَصَرِ وَأَحْسَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. He says, marriage allows the person to lower his gaze. And we said the concept of the gaze. If the eye is bad, then the mind is bad. If the mind is bad, the heart is bad. And if the heart is bad, then the physical body is bad. If you have perversion in what you look at, know for sure that your thoughts are going to be perverted. You're not going to be able to focus. Everybody understand this? As some people say, we may not necessarily say this, but some people say that the eye is the gateway to the what? To the soul, not the heart. To the soul. So the Prophet ﷺ says it's lower for the gaze. وَأَحْسَنُ لِلْفَرْجِ. And it's pure for one's chastity. It's pure from staying away from vice. The Prophet then says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَعَلَيْهِ بِالصَّوْمِ فَإِنَّهُ لَهُ وِجَاءٌ. He says, and those who cannot get married for one reason or another, they should fast. Because fasting acts as a means of castration. Fasting is something which breaks and crumbles and cracks and smashes your desires. So the ulama, they say, the Prophet ﷺ advised the Muslim youth to do how many things, you mean? How many things did he advise them to do in this hadith? How many? 2 things. Either get married or fast. Everybody understand this? So therefore they say if masturbation was permissible, then the Prophet would have mentioned it. Because to fulfill one's desires through masturbation is easier than fasting. Then what? Than fasting. Marriage is the asl. You can't get married, so at least fast. That means I'm going to be thirsty, I'm going to be tired, I'm going to be hot, I'm going to be weak. It's not Ramadan, I have to fast every day, every other day. How can I do this? So they say that this proves that it's haram to do that act. Everybody clear on that? So this is one of the views of the ulama. And they have other proofs and evidences, let alone some of the harms of masturbation, physical, spiritual, mental, health issues that come from it. People who suffer from this chronic problem when they get married, they cannot fulfill their desires in a permissible way. A man cannot please his wife. Everybody understand this? This is reality. If a person watches these types of movies, and his images are in his mind, they never ever leave his mind. He can never find pleasure in halal. He's always comparing his wife to what he saw in a movie. This is dangerous, and this is well known among Muslims and among non-Muslims. And it's very sad that many Muslims choose to live into this dream world, and the kuffar themselves, they do what? They talk about it because they know that it's a reality and it's a current trial of Muslim youth. And some people may say that pornography is more addictive than heroin. Has a stronger addiction and a more difficult time of getting away from it than addiction to what? Not cocaine, but what? Heroin. Some of the ugliest drugs to be addicted to, as it's well known. Khairan inshallah. So that's one of the views of the ulama. Some ulama, they may say that this verse and this hadith are not speaking about this concept. And they're talking about concept with the second sex, the next sex, the opposite sex. As if Allah is saying, those who protect their private areas, those who keep their chastity with regards to themselves and women, either she's going to be your wife or your right hand possession. And this has nothing to do with what? Masturbation. They said this is the meaning of this verse. And this is what Allah is speaking about. Is that you cannot have sexual contact with a woman unless she's one or 2 things. Everybody understand this? So some ulama, they hold the view that it's permissible to do this act because there is no dalil which what? Specifically. So it's a very long discussion, argument among the ulama. Among what? Among the ulama. What is important? Why we said in the beginning of our answer, we don't what? We don't what? What do we say, Imran? La. We don't recommend it, period. So we recommend this brother stay away from masturbation as far as the cure for it. the cure for addiction to masturbation or these things, then first and foremost is taqwa of Allah. Taqwa of Allah. Muraqabah. To realize that Allah watches you, Allah sees you, Allah hears you. And no matter where you go, no matter how you hide, no matter what you do, no matter who doesn't see you, what? Ar-Rahman sees you. So this is easily said and done, obviously, but you have to practice. You have to think about it. You have to reflect that Allah sees me. I can't keep disobeying Him. Or even if it's not disobedience, is it beneficial? Does it lead me to khair? Does it allow me to be on the front row in the masjid? Can I read the Quran, recite the Quran, memorize the Quran when I do this act? Does it make me a better Muslim? Or does it bring me to degeneration? Everybody understand this? Does it what? Lower me down. If it's time for the then, follow me then. Everybody understand this? Unfortunately, there has to be a third part of the answer tomorrow night. This is a serious issue, and it's a very important issue for Muslim youth. Wallahu.